In 1945, the conclusion of World War II marked the beginning of a new era. From 1945 to 1957, the improvement in the United States economy resulted in an enormous spike in birth rates, and the population of the United States rose drastically. This generation, known as the baby boomers, became the center of the counterculture movement of the 1960s. They questioned the conservative and traditional nature of the United States culture and sought to create a discrimination-free society. The civil rights movement, the feminist movement, the anti-Vietnam War movement, and the gay rights movement were all direct results of this new, radical point of view. They all focused on the concept of change in society by unifying people behind a common ideology. The emergence of large movements under the banner of social change was reflective of the 1960s as an era. This was a time of awakening, when people no longer wanted to accommodate a society that did not fit them. Especially, the unprecedented use of psychedelic drugs had a heavy impact on American society. The exploration of psychedelic drugs strongly impacted the United States by exchanging nonconformist ideologies, giving rise to unprecedented social encounters, and paving the way for contemporary pop culture. But first, how exactly do psychedelic drugs affect the human body?
First of all, I think it's important for everybody to know what a psychedelic drug is. And basically, this set of drugs falls into a larger class known as hallucinogens. So you have some drugs that produce some type of euphoria or high, such as opiates or stimulants. What's different about the psychedelic drugs is that they produce an alteration of cognition and the perceptions around us of reality. Okay, so for example, psychedelic drugs, some of the neurological effects are that I think you can overall describe them as slowing down time and maybe putting everything under a magnifying glass such that you end up hypersensitive to everything.
The encounter with psychedelics began in the late 1950s, a period in which American society was heavily influenced by societal norms. However, individuals sprang up in the midst of that and created a rebellious subculture. American novelist and poet Jack Kerouac named the group the Beat Generation because the group was constantly beat down and tired out by society. Their leftist ideology towards American way of life continued in the 1960s.
The Beat Generation was the literary counterculture of the 1950s. The term beat actually comes out of that thinking that, we're a generation that has been through all of these really hard times. I mean, the Great Depression, World War II, and so on the tail end of that, we're just kind of tired out. We've been through a lot. It's like you've the term beat you probably actually heard before when you get off work, long day or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I'm beat. I just want to relax. And that was the exact same sentiment that a lot of these writers had, was that they'd been through all these experiences, and they felt just kind of like literally beaten down by those experiences.
The Beat Generation drew heavily on the younger college-age people, who oftentimes were more receptive to new ideas. For example, they advocated the use of marijuana and emphasized a life that was withdrawn from society. Leaders of the movement, Ken Kesey and Timothy Leary, were both pioneers of psychedelic drugs. In 1959, Kesey began studying at Stanford, where he attended a graduate writing program. While there, he took part in the U.S. Army clinical study, in which he was given his first exposure to LSD. While under the influence of LSD, Kesey wrote one of his best-selling novels, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Although LSD was still relatively underground, he soon attracted a following of like-minded people to accompany him. The group they formed was almost reminiscent of an occult, which rallied around Kesey's charismatic personality and religious-like philosophy. Kesey led his group, the Merry Pranksters, around the United States, exposing the nation to the subculture of psychedelics, so that others could explore its vast world. Dressed in bright, strange-looking clothes, the Merry Pranksters toured across the country in their day-glow-covered bus named Further.